A grain of sand, truly one of nature's secret wonders. The famous astronomer Carl Sagan once said that the total number of stars in the entire universe is greater than all the grains of sand on all the beaches of the world. The astonishing thing is, each and every grain of sand is different and unique.
Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Stephen Freed. When you think of Maui, you don't often think of science, at least I didn't, until I met our guest for today. Dr. Gary Greenberg from the Institute for Astronomy right here in Pukalani. His mission is to turn people on to the nexus of art and science, the awe-inspiring images of nature. His book, A Grain of Sand, is just a wonder to behold. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you, Steve. Aloha. Welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Pleasure. I think you're our first scientist. You are. So this is a thrill. You're our first scientist.
Well, there are scientists on Maui. Not a lot, but there are scientists, and it's good to have scientists on Maui, and hopefully there will be more scientists on Maui.
It's very important to you, showing the nexus of art and science. How do you go about doing that?
This is something I've been doing pretty much all of my life. When I was really young, when I was 13 years old, my father gave me a little microscope, and I started looking at things in the garden, little rocks, little insects and flowers and all kinds of things, and I just was amazed at what I saw. It was a whole world opened up to me. I thought I was like a little kid with x-ray glasses, being able to see things people couldn't see. And that, I think, really got me interested in nature, incredibly interested in nature. And at the same time, my grandfather gave me the complete notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci. And I'd sit on the floor looking at these drawings, these unbelievable, his imagination was just so inspiring for me. His inventions, he invented a lot of war machines, and for a 13-year-old kid, that was pretty cool.
Oh my God, you got to play Army with Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, and sort of his whole way that he looked at art and science. In those days, in the Renaissance, art and science were really not as different as they are today. They were both ways of exploring nature. So I got involved in art and science really early on. I saw that they really fit well together. And I've sort of been, my mission my whole life, and sort of it's been my interest my whole life, is both art and science. And the way they fit together has just been really a pleasure for me. I really enjoy it.
So I know we have a thriving small scientific community here, and you're actually hoping, you want to feed that. This is something that you teach,
yes,
and you want to bring more and more people kind of into the interest.
Yes, in Hawaii and here in Maui and throughout Hawaii, we have a strong scientific community in astronomy, very strong. We're some of the best astronomers in the world here at the University of Hawaii at the Institute for Astronomy. Also in oceanography, we're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Ecology, so we really have a good basis for having a nexus for science here, for scientists to come. And people at the Institute for Astronomy are trying to create a center for excellence. And scientists coming here to make this a center for excellence, so that hopefully Maui won't just be a tourist destination, but can be a destination for scientists and artists and people who are doing more than just coming to sit on the beaches.
That's fantastic. On Haleakala, solar astronomy is most important?
Yeah, it is. It is, of course, Haleakala means the house of the sun.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's where the IFA does the a lot of solar astronomy.
IFA is?
The Institute for Astronomy.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the University of?
Part of the University of Hawaii,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there are telescopes in Mauna Kea and here. And it's, of course, the main campus is in Manoa, University in Honolulu.
And some people are building a $300 million solar telescope that is going to be right here?
That is correct. We're building, just beginning, a $300 million solar telescope. It'll take, I think, 5 or 6 years to be built. Most of the work will be done locally. Much of the work will be done locally. And it's going to be a telescope that looks at the sun. Now, but they look at things at the sun. They look at very small amounts of light from the sun. They try and block out most of the light from the sun and look at extremely small but important things from the sun, important sources of light that they can see. So it's a real fiddle for scientists to be able to see the sort of light that they see, very, very small amounts of light being masked by a very bright amount of light from the sun. So it's a difficult thing to do, but they're able to do it.
I'm trying to understand that concept.
In other words, what they're looking at.
What are they looking at? Yeah.
You look at, for example, if you put a disk in front of the sun, you can see the corona of the sun. The corona is the outmost or the outer portions of the sun, where you get these flares and prominences, and that's where a lot of the electromagnetic radiation from the sun, the solar winds come from there. And so it's important to study this, and the sun is important to study because the sun has a huge influence on the Earth, as you know.
Of course.
This is,
we wouldn't be here.
This is the biggest influence on the Earth is the sun. So
yeah.
It regulates all sorts of things, everything from the weather to our satellites to communication. So it's important to monitor the sun and understand the sun. And that's what we're doing here at the Institute for Astronomy.
And speaking of monitoring, that's another big area that's going on, isn't it? You're monitoring satellites. I don't know if it's you particularly, but there is monitoring of satellites and asteroids and all kinds of stuff going on.
We at the IFA, one of the things that we do there is to look for killer asteroids.
Killer asteroids.
Because actually, the Earth has been visited by killer asteroids in the past several times. The last time was 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs were wiped out. It was because of a giant asteroid that hit the Yucatan Peninsula, just off the Yucatan Peninsula, and wiped out the majority of life on Earth, including the dinosaurs and all the large animals and plants. And life began again. And since these last 65 years, and really allowed
65 million years.
65 million years, and allowed man to finally emerge. There have been a number of killer asteroids. They have spotted one that's going to come around, actually come between the moon and the Earth in 2029. Come right about exactly between the moon and the Earth.
Which is a very small distance.
That's a small distance.
Yeah.
In astronomical terms,
right.
That's a very small distance.
Right.
Depending on exactly where it comes, exactly where it's going to come between the moon and the Earth, it will tell us the next time it comes around in 2036 whether it'll hit the Earth or not.
Right, so we're talking about within the next 30 years.
So this is a serious business, and
yeah.
important to keep track of this and know exactly what these killer satellites, killer asteroids are up to, because there is the possibility of nudging them out of the way so that they don't hit us.
How do you nudge? I mean, I know how you nudge, but how do you nudge an asteroid?
There are people working on this problem, and thank God we have some time to figure it out properly. But one way is out in space, you know that there's mutual gravitational attraction. So if you put up another mass next to a mass, it will actually pull it a little bit out of its orbit. There are people thinking of putting little, engines and jet engines on it and shooting a little. If you do it early enough, you only have to move it a tiny bit.
Aha.
If you wait too late, then it's too difficult to move.
How do you interface with an asteroid? I mean, you
have to get a spaceship out there and rendezvous.
My goodness.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing. It would be possible to do. And if in fact this asteroid is going to be coming to the Earth, we'll put a lot of resources will go into that.
Yeah.
And something will be figured out.
Satellites, I mean, obviously they're a lot to do with the military, but I'm sure there's satellites that have to do with the part of our daily life. I mean, satellite radio. I mean,